Okay, looks like we are online. L'intégration permet d'assurer la sécurité de tous. Fermé. Yeah, it's working, but today I have nobody in the chat yet to confirm me. So let's wait a little bit for people to show up. Yeah, the positioning is always a problem here. Like this, a bit more straight. Oh. Ah, okay. Looks like somebody just got online. Some anonymous viewer for now. Let's wait for somebody else, maybe. And in the meantime, I'm gonna check what you answered on the post. So yeah, if that's your first time on my Q&As, I always post how would you say, like a voting topic a few days before. So I give the choice between, let's say, 3 or 4 topics. And that's a way to kickstart, because usually, since I'm still a very small channel, I have very low discovery as well. So just to kickstart with 1 or 2 or 3 people, I already have a topic, and then people ask their questions. So today, as usual, there's a tie. Nobody was interested in the first topic, injury management, so I guess that's good. It means none of you guys subscribe to the channel have troubles with injury. That's nice. But we have 44% for 2026 goals, fitness goals, and 44% for bronze era inspiration. Okay. So yeah, I guess that would be two starting topics. In the meantime, when people just start showing up. So yeah, I see we got someone online, someone more. So I guess I will start discussing those topics, and then I will check your questions. So let's start maybe with with the 2026 goals. I have quite a few when it comes to fitness and also the channel. The fitness goals, I'm mostly focused now on trying to bring up a bit my shoulders, make them pop a little more. I didn't really focus on them on my first 2 years of training, because basically I already had quite a lot of compliments about my shoulders at the gym, even without training them much. And I guess that's because I already have a pretty good shoulder to waist ratio. So mm, I decided to prioritize, let's say, other crucial muscles like the back quite a lot. Uh, and now I feel like bringing up the shoulders to the next level can really help uh, make my physique more developed, more impressive. So that's one thing. I'm starting now to refocus on shoulders, do a lot of presses. I used to do only lateral raises, like for most of my training journey. Mm. Even though I was already doing behind the neck press, but it was more a for me a way to keep mobility, and I was not really aiming to put a lot of weight on it. I was being very cautious with it, and I believe, yeah, I was doing behind the neck press already as a beginner, but maybe with the max being 40 kilos, uh, which is not too bad, but yeah, can do better. Yeah, 40 kilos, yeah, on the plates. So with the bar would be actually 60. Not sure anymore. But now anyway, I'm switching to doing both OHP and behind the neck, and I do them seated. So, I can really focus on grinding more weight and progressive overload and really treat them as hypertrophy exercises. And yeah, refocus a bit more on the shoulders. Shoulders, still the lats, both because I think it's, the back in general, but maybe especially the lats. I feel like it's really like a crucial part of having a well developed physique. The way I see the back is like it's a bit like a canva for a painter. Before you put the paint, before you add the beautiful details and colors, you need a frame. And when you look at a well developed back, it looks like basically a frame. I guess you could say, when someone has a very big back, it's like a big frame, right? So the back is, I think, very crucial, and it's what's going to distinguish you also as someone who lifts than from many other sports when you think about it, except calisthenics, obviously. But there are not many sports that develop a huge back. Um, Gymnasts have huge biceps, um, and you have other examples like that with other muscle groups. But when you think of the gym and bodybuilding, for me, I would say lats, the back in general, um, yeah, and arms, big arms. Uh, they're quite crucial. So I focus on those two muscle groups this year. Still the arms. I want to do as much as I can to get to 18 inches. Um, I see progress, but it's now getting slow, and I haven't found a way to, speed run the way to 18 inches arms yet. But yeah, the grind is slow, but I'm following the right direction apparently, because each 2 or 3 months I can really notice that my arms really got bigger, and people comment on it as well. So it's a good sign. So yeah, those are my goals for 2026. Oh, we have some people in the chat. We have a King. King, hello. Hi, brother. What's up, man? Nice to see you again. Aline, of course. She's back. Well, thanks for joining. Um, where was I? Yeah, I was discussing one of the topics that was voted for. So there are two topics that got the same amount of votes. And I was just discussing my 2026 goals at the gym. So mostly bringing up my shoulders now because they don't quite pop, because I didn't focus on them because they were a kind of, let's say, um, a good point of mine as a beginner, because mostly I would say of my shoulder to waist ratio. Um, and yeah, when it comes to the channel, I'm going to try now to upload a bit more of what I do at the gym. It's not always easy for me because sometimes my gym is quite crowded and it's pretty small. It's an old school gym, it's kind of packed with machines and I don't want to be in the way, let my phone in the way, and also I don't want to have a lot of people recorded on the phone because that's not very polite, and also it's a distraction a bit for me from my own training. I have to always try to find the right angle for the phone and stuff like that. So I do my best when I can, when the gym is let's say not too crowded. I have time to uh, focus a little bit on that a bit more. Then I record a bit more now, and I plan to post a bit more on Instagram, like reels, where I wouldn't even comment. So I can do it on a more daily basis. It's not like time consuming for me, but this way you can see what I do, like the way I perform exercises and stuff like that. And I think it's valuable. I don't think I have perfect technique on everything, but that's part of learning the process, for you and also for me. And recording and seeing yourself performing can be invaluable when it comes to assessing your own technique. So I also really want to do it for myself. Um, so yeah, those are my goals. And before switching to the second topic, I see we have a question in the chat. So, oh, something crazy is happening to the light here. Okay. A different question, but if a homeless person carelessly set his tent right outside your house, at first you find it amusing, but then the next day he's still there. At what point would you say something? I didn't expect that kind of question, but I welcome them, by the way. Um, it's not like we have to talk only about fitness, and these Q&As are also a way to connect and get to know each other. So um, I guess I would try to observe and assess what kind of homeless person that is. If it's if it's not a crack addict or not, for example. If it's a crack addict, I wouldn't like that, and I would you know uh, act pretty fast. But if it's more like I don't know, like good-hearted hippie kind of person who is maybe traveling and doesn't plan to stay there forever and maybe sleeping there just a night or two or whatever, I may even have a conversation with this guy, because as a matter of fact I've been kind of not homeless, but in a way I was in this type of situation, not of homelessness, but I was traveling with my van. You can see pictures on my Instagram still, uh, for like several months. And so I was not living in a house. I was basically living outdoors. And uh, from time to time, it happened I would stay and sleep in places where, you know, there were houses nearby. And it would have been a shame for me if uh, people got scared of me, or thought I was like up to no good or this kind of stuff, and called the police or whatever. It would have been a shame, because I was just trying to sleep peacefully and not annoy anybody, and hopefully not being disturbed myself. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of assessing the specific situation in this case. Um, be human, but also being human and lovely also implies doing it towards yourself. So if it's clear that this person there is a bad influence, you also have to take care of yourself. That's the way I would see it. King. Why do you ask this question? Do you have the situation right now? Do you have a kind of dilemma? Or I don't know. I'm pretty curious why you came up with that question. Um, uh, Thanks for answering. I appreciate. No dilemma, just very random. Okay. Yeah, very creative. Let's say a creative mind then to come up with that question out of nowhere. Thanks for answering and sharing your story. Yeah, you're welcome. If you like that story, it's like you can see some beautiful uh, traces of it on my Insta. I took a lot of amazing pictures of landscapes, and it's a wonderful experience. I always advise it to anyone. Uh, there's something so unique about waking up in the nature and falling asleep in the nature when you are surrounded by, for example, the forest, when you are, uh, at night and you hear the owls. This is something I fell in love with. And that's just an example among many others. When you wake up at the beach, when you have a beach for yourself, basically, and you can just stargaze alone and wake up and have the whole beach for yourself at 6 in the morning, and you have the dawn on the sand with the reflection of the water. It's really hard to describe in our modern world, especially in Western world. It's like everything is so urban. Everybody is like always there in the middle somewhere. You always have a building uh, kind of spoiling the view. But yeah, when you have this freedom of traveling by van, or maybe as a homeless or with a tent, like the example you gave, uh, you can really reconnect to nature, and it's very powerful. I really changed my life. So, but it's a long story. Hopefully, I won't be in that situation, but never say never, right? Speaking of that, what are your thoughts on people who try to live off grid to escape the system, as they say? Well, that's basically what I did for not for a long time with my van, because my van is like very minimalistic, very stealthy. I wanted it to be so because my main goal was to, be left undisturbed. And I also wanted to, have the simplest possible um, gear and lifestyle possible. So it was not even a rooftop. So I couldn't live in my van standing up. I had to always be sitting in my van, sorry. And so I couldn't really like have a life in my van, so I was living a lot outside, basically. Same thing when it came to shower and cooking. Everything had to be done outside. And my my answer to your question would be then I think, like most things in life, the middle ground tends to be great. Here, I would say a middle ground, like maybe in terms of how long you do it. Maybe you just do it as a kind of holidays type of thing every year. Maybe every year you go for a few months of grid to, a cheap second residence, which is also practical because if you go off grid, you can afford it easier and you disconnect, and it's wonderful. But there are a lot of ideals, and there can be a lot of naivety when it comes to living off grid, like leaving your job in the capital city and buy a ruin in another country you know nothing about, in the countryside, and you believe you're gonna live off your vegetables, and you'll be surrounded by wild animals and everything will be wonderful. I've been following quite a few channels who do these kind of things, uh, and yeah, there are often a lot of let's say disappointments in that. What a lot of people underestimate is the amount of skills you need to be autonomous. There's no autonomy without skills, and the sad part of this matter is that nowadays we are not skillful. We have unlearned how to be skillful because we live in a world of specialists. So you may be you may be an accountant specialist, you may be a lawyer, you may be whatever, and that's all you can do. That's how our world has optimized everything. Everybody is specialized in one thing, so that the overall efficiency of society is higher, let's say. But if you want to be autonomous, you have to be skillful in so many things, and especially, of course, manual, but not only nowadays. And so you end up with people who talk about autonomy, but they actually still have to pay for a lot of things and to pay for people to do things for them, to come and, repair stuff for them and things like that. So they are not autonomous. They are not completely free as they hoped they would be. So, yeah. But the thing is that if you're conscious about it, you can try to assess as objectively as you can your potential for autonomy. What are the things you should learn, the things you should improve at, and try to find a situation where what you can do, you buy a piece of land or whatever that is compatible with that. And in that case, yeah, you can have maybe a semi-autonomy. You can, for typically, like for food, it's a bit harder uh, as as a kind of let's say goal, from what I could see in quite a few channels. But when it comes to energy, it's pretty simple. When it comes to even water, it can be pretty simple. But food can be a bit more tricky, yeah. But there are amazing stories you can find on YouTube of guys who have worked a lot for that. So that kind of freedom has a pretty steep price in terms of work. You need to be skillful and to work many years if you want to be completely off grid and completely free. So don't believe you're gonna even buy your way to it. Because if you are super rich and buy some kind of piece of land and believe now you're going to be autonomous, nah, you have to learn how to manage that piece of land by yourself. And yeah, it's more about knowing that you owe things only to yourself and you're off grid, but it's not about having a life devoid of work or, you know, any kind of pressure. Now you have the pressure to survive by yourself. That's it. That's my general understanding of this. Thanks for answering. I appreciate your insights. You're welcome, King. Can keep them coming if you want more like of these creative questions, a bit unexpected again. Um, in the meantime, I will answer the second topic from the post: the Bronze Era inspiration. I put this one because I realized that um, so far I've made quite a few videos revolving around Silver Era lifters. Like my favorite ones, like Reg Park, Steve Reeves. And I figured since I got quite a few comments and there was a lot of engagement on my Steve Reeves video, I figured I could see maybe if some of my subscribers are also into Bronze Era, and apparently so, yeah. So when it comes to the Bronze Era, it's not, of course, for me, like you can already guess, it's not like my go-to source of inspiration. For me, it's more the Silver Era. But yeah, I still find it um, pretty interesting, especially maybe more niche guys that you never hear talking about. Like there was this French guy called Edmond Desbonnet. Edmond Desbonnet, um, with a great physique as well. Another one that was really impressive when it comes to the physique, because that's something I'm going to discuss now about the physique of the Bronze Era. But Billy Ralph, yeah, Billy Ralph, he had this very big neck and traps and super shredded, and you know he had already more of a bodybuilder thing about him. He didn't have like the typical Bronze Era physique, and yeah, this is also quite inspiring. That's something quite common about all of them, though, is that they were super shredded, um, and they had this very dense look about them. Apparently, it might be about the style of training that was mostly about strength. At that time, they were not chasing mass, and they were chasing strength first because they were, you know, strength athletes, and they were doing those feats of strength to earn a living, basically. And when you focus on that first, as well as having a very, let's say, good hygiene when it comes to food and not eating a lot, you get this kind of very dense look. It's probably something to do with this difference between myofibrillar hypertrophy and sarcoplasmic. So yeah, there are two like pathways of hypertrophy, and the sarcoplasmic one is when you basically bring a bit more of a metabolic stress on the muscle with higher reps and lighter weights, as far as we know so far, or as far as I know. I haven't, you know, delved in that topic uh, like super deep. But I don't think it's already well understood. You know, we just, as far as I know, we just know there are those two types, and we have assumptions about what can bring one or another because of the results we can see on those physiques. And yeah, so the bronze era was maybe more about this myofibrillar type of hypertrophy with those very dense physiques. They look like steel. It's crazy. Uh, but yeah, they were also practicing um, intermittent fasting, and they were not eating a lot. Yeah, so obviously it helps a lot with the body fat and with this impression. But you can see it's not just that. You can have very low body fat bodybuilders nowadays, or in the silver era or golden era, and the physiques don't look quite the same. Uh, Not just in terms of mass or proportions, but just the quality of the muscle. Maybe it's also to do with the muscle control. They were very into that at that time. So just being able to connect with the muscle and contract it at will, any kind of part of the muscle, even they could like play with all the muscles of the back, for instance, and make it like it's dancing, you know. So this was quite crazy. It's inspiring, but for me, it's not like my top priority when it comes to training. My top priority, by the way, is health. That's why I started to lift. That's why I always insist on natural bodybuilding. That's why I never quite feel actually, um, how can I say it, convinced about the word bodybuilding. But I have to use it. But yeah, bodybuilding has this kind of connotation nowadays, unfortunately, of the contests and the pro bodybuilders and the steroids and the obsession with mass and things like that. And for me, it's not what my training is about. That's not what my channel is about. But yeah, natural bodybuilding, I think people understand. Um, but that's something I find inspiring, by the way, from the Bronze Era, is that they called it physical culture. I like it very much. Unfortunately, it's not very search engine friendly for for the content. So I don't say my channel is about physical culture, and also because physical culture has this connotation also more about strength, I would say, and the Bronze Era. So if you label your channel physical culture, it's going to be more about that, and it's going to be a bit misleading to talk about what I usually talk. So, but you can see it in my descriptions. If you check my descriptions, I always have this section where you can see a few other videos linked, and I have put more physical culture. I like it. I like the idea that you cultivate your physique. It's a cultivation, so you take care of it like take care of a plant or someone or something you love, and yeah, you don't spoil it with drugs. You just patiently make it grow and take care of it. So that would be an inspiration I have from the Bronze Era. They were also quite health first, just like the Silver Era. So yeah, those are the kind of inspirations I would say I can get from the Bronze Era. But when it comes to the specific guys, it's it's very interesting to see those physiques that were 100% natural for sure. The Silver Era, for the most part, as well, we know that it's like 100% natural for sure as well. But it depends a bit when you make the Silver Era end, you know. If you make it end at, let's say, 1960, then yeah, the last 5 years of the Silver Era, you already have uh, guys like Bill Pearl who were starting to blow up using some products. even though, yeah, I'm not sure if he started from the very first release of Diana Ball. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, you get what I mean. Basically, anything after 1955, there can be doubts, I would say. But yeah, anything before that we know is for sure 100% natural. Some people dabbled a bit with steroids before Diana Ball, but it was inefficient versions, and so they were never like used in ongoing protocols, basically. So there were some tests being done, but it was not conclusive. So uh, yeah, that's another inspiration I get from the Bronze era. Besides those names, yeah, like I said, Billy Ralph, Edmond Desbonnet, Max Sieg as well. Of course, Schmidt, but yeah, this guy is inspiring, but he's a bit. He was so huge and strong that it's almost like you know if you can get to that or not, if you have the genetics for it or not. And when someone feels, let's say, so gifted, um, it can make you connect a bit less because it cannot be like your inspiration because it's kind of like out of reach. So maybe there's a bit of that with Schmidt, especially when it comes to his strength. I believe he had like crazy records when it comes to strength. So yeah, that would be it for that question. Let's see if there are any others. And if not, I will end the Q&A because it's already 40 minutes. As always, it's always longer than I expect. And I have quite a lot of work still to do. So, no more questions. I see we still have someone online right now. No. Okay, so thank you for watching. As always, I'm gonna uh, let this live Q&A upload itself automatically on the channel afterwards. So if you're watching this after the live, thank you as well for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot with the algorithm. I'm still very small, and any subscriber I get, it's like motivating me to try to post new interesting videos once a week. That's the rhythm I have find I can sustain, because unfortunately, I'm not a professional YouTuber, so I can't afford to record a lot yet. But one video a week, it's manageable for me. I try to make it as, let's say, interesting as possible, like on topics that are not cookie cutter and seen a million times, or at least give my own perspective on things. So yeah, that's I see more questions. Yeah. What are some symptoms of overtraining? Overtraining, yeah, I think I've discussed it already. Uh, most people who have trained for several years, they almost all agree that overtraining is overrated. Like most people are too afraid of overtraining, and as a result, they tend to undertrain even more, maybe. But yeah, it can happen. The first symptoms would be, I think you would know that that's the main. I would say the main take here is that actually it could be a criteria to know if you're overtraining. Is that if you are really overtraining, you will have no doubt about it. It's like, you know, you will have so much kind of stress, internal stress and fatigue, that you will not even ask, "Am I overtraining?" I think, um, even though um, to counter balance this argument, I would say that I think I was once on the verge of overtraining. So I was not quite sure, but yeah, I was probably getting there. And that was basically a few months after I started training, and I was still doing the keto diet and intermittent fasting, even. And, I was training at that time, I was going up in volume because I was so passionate about the gym. So I was starting to train like 4 times full body, and then even five, and at some point even six times. But I was undulating the week. So I had like two light days, two heavy days, and two medium days. But it was not for long. But yeah, long story short, I was not eating enough carbs. I was not eating probably even enough, and my sleep. I would say this was really the sign for me, the telltale sign that I was really starting to train too much, or I would say not recover enough. Maybe that's a better way to put it. My sleep was getting disrupted. So I was waking up in the middle of the night. I had trouble sleeping enough as much as I wanted. Things like that, yeah. Having this kind of feeling that it's not really like an internal stress, but like you are worn out. Basically, you're kind of feeling on the edge, right? A bit like a burnout, I guess. Uh, yeah, but I was not quite there yet. So that's the luck I had, is that I saw those signs, but like I say, mostly the sleeping patterns, and I adjusted. So I started to reintroduce carbs, to eat more, and yeah, keep my sessions, like I guess 4 times a week, or five, instead of 5 or 6. I'm not sure anymore. And then yeah, then it was okay, and I progressed a lot on, I think, 5 times full body a week. Thanks for answering. I believe Lee Priest himself said something along the lines of no such thing as overtraining, only under eating and resting. Yeah. So I'm quoting Lee Priest without even knowing. Yeah, yeah, similar experience for me, I would say. Once I started to rest better and eat better and more, I could sustain the training 5, 6 times a week. 6 times, I don't remember. It was only a few weeks, I think, that I did that, and then I scaled back to five, because even with this scheme of light, medium, and heavy, 6 time was still a bit too much for some of my joints. I think I was starting to notice elbow issues, and wrist issues. I think it was starting to be like not like a clear injury, but you feel that it's nagging you and it's like giving you warning signs each time you train, basically. So yeah, but 5 times a week, I think I kept that for a long time, and with enough of carbs, enough of sleep, enough of food, it was okay. And I was training, I would say, quite intensely enough. Um, Not as intensely as I can afford now, because I've learned, like every lifter, you learn with time how to always push a little more, and without hurting yourself, you feel more and more confident about this. So, but I was never like slacking, even as a complete beginner. When I see some beginners, especially now that it's January and I see crazy stuff at the gym, like if you want a funny anecdote, King, no later than yesterday, I saw a teenager on the chest press machine. He was holding the handles like this with like two fingers and only one plate, so like 5 kilos, and he was pushing like that, and like kind of cardio. And then he was on his phone for 5 minutes. Then he did again a set like this, and then he went to the cardio. So that was his training, and I was like, okay, well, I never was guilty of that. Even as a complete beginner, I was already training 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, pushing probably to only a few reps in reserve, even as a complete beginner. Maybe 2 reps in reserve, 3. It's tough to gauge sometimes, and especially when it's in the past. But yeah, I think I remember being quite conservative and first trying to make sure I don't injure myself. So, uh, because as you know, I was not coming from a sports background. So, as a geek, it felt like, and a geek who already had some joint issues, I felt like I have to, be careful enough. But yeah, another question. May I ask your thoughts on people who say bodybuilders are insecure and only lift weights because they were bullied at school? I don't think this is absolutely true. Maybe in some small cases, but not all. Um, yeah, I think you will have a mixed bag here. I don't know if you follow many bodybuilders on YouTube, but when you follow quite a few of them, they often have this kind of stories that they were bullied at school. Mm. And something interesting for me is that most of them who are successful on this platform, they come from a place of being very thin, very small, and bodybuilding for them was a way to uh, get more, take more room, and get big is like very important for them, even to the point of enjoying dirty, crazy bulks and being quite fat. And for me, it's quite interesting because for me it was always the contrary. I used to be quite obese as a kid, especially, and then as a teenager and young adult life, I was more like skinny fat. But yeah, as a teen, my obsession was to be slim, to take less room. So it's always interesting to see how you always want what the other guys have. I wanted to be like this when I was a teenager. I don't know how to say in English, like scrawny, I think the word is. scrawny. I wanted to look like that. And for that reason, probably I was not really interested in bodybuilding and muscle, because not only it was not like what I thought I could achieve, but yeah, for me, bodybuilding was like a completely different world altogether, not accessible. So I didn't even think about it, because the way I understood it is like, it's even a much higher level of fitness than being slim. And I'm not even slim. I still have to get to the point I'm slim. So I'm so far from that. It's not even a point thinking about it. Um, but yeah, no, I don't think you have to imagine that most bodybuilders were bullied or are insecure, even though there's an argument for it for bodybuilding specifically, because bodybuilding, the definition of it is that, you know it's more like a visual thing, right? It's not powerlifting. It's not the goal is aesthetic. And when your goals are aesthetic, you could argue there's probably at least always maybe a small part of insecurity. Mm, like people who was always felt, let's say, completely aesthetic, they wouldn't care. But the question is, who does feel completely aesthetic? I don't think a lot of people do. It's like even very handsome people can be very insecure because they start to see any small detail that they believe everybody sees, and it makes them ugly, and they don't realize they're beautiful. A lot of people are like that. So who doesn't have at least a little bit of insecurity when it comes to how they look, especially at until a certain age, I would say. But yeah, if you take my case, no, for me, it has come late in life, at a stage of my life where none of these are really a matter for me anymore, for many years now. I really come from a place of realizing I'm in my mid 30s. Um, it's probably like the few years ahead of me are still probably the best I should try to put the work in to get some muscle, because then it's going to be harder. And having a good base of muscle is going to be good for me later in life, for health reasons. That's the very realization I had that brought me to bodybuilding. And then I just got a taste for it, because I started to really enjoy to see the visual results and the psychological results, and I started to get passionate about it, and now I'm sharing on YouTube about it. So that's how it has developed, but not from a place of being bullied, like, I don't know, like 20 or 25 years ago or anything like that. I agree, brother. I don't know why people go to the gym just to text on their phone. I'm not one to say something, but I don't understand why they do it. Yeah. Yeah, different people, different goals, different how to say that, different awareness. Yeah. I think there are a lot of guys who go there and they just never put the work of learning about it, and so they just don't realize that just going there and doing stuff is not enough. I think a lot of people assume that the simple fact of going to the gym is already, a great effort. Is already, putting you in the, I don't know, the 1% of the population. Now I'm being a bit optimistic. I think more people go to the gym, but you know what I mean is like, when you go to the gym, you already do something great, right? Compared to maybe most of the population. And so somehow magically, it's maybe already enough that you just do a few stuff and it's gonna keep you in shape. But no. And I've been talking with quite a few guys at the gym who have this kind of mentality of I'm here, to stay in shape. And yeah, I think it's a bit of a shame not to have. You spend time already there. Why not take advantage of that time to have a notion of progress? In any case, having this feeling that you are progressing is going to make sure that you, at the very least, stay in shape, because it's not easy to progress. So, at least if you aim for it, you can be sure that you will at least have this floor of staying in shape. Whereas if your aim is to stay in shape, you may even lose a bit of it because you are slacking. So even if that's your goal, you shouldn't think like this. That's uh, that's my view on it. If I ask if you had to live or work with someone who had really bad body odor, ooh, but he was sensitive and you didn't want to upset him, would you say something or ignore it? Wow, hey, I never had this situation. Someone who smells bad. Nah, I would tell the person. I tend to be quite. How can you say in English? Mm, Straightforward on some things, at least. I can be, polite. I can be taking into account the feelings of the people and things like that. But compared to the average, I can be very blunt. I can, yeah, really just. I think some things just have to be said, and for me, it's a bit like if it hurts you, well, sorry, but that just has to be said. I just can't pretend, and I tend to have that pretty easily. So sometimes I can probably come across as too too frank, maybe. Um, but yeah, I guess that would be a situation where I would act like that. If it's just someone I'm seeing once, I know I'm not gonna see again. I don't have to, really spend much time with. Then I would say nothing. I wouldn't hurt the person if I know I don't have to endure this person. But yeah, in the case you mentioned, yeah, you said live or work. Yeah, first of all, I wouldn't choose to live with someone like that. If someone smells bad, I wouldn't live with this person. Work, you may not have the choice, so yeah, I would probably tell my colleague after some time, maybe after a few times, and it's becoming really unbearable. I guess I would have a conversation and try to be nice. Say something like, I want to talk to you about something. It can be a bit hard for you to hear, but I think you should know it because it's gonna hurt your relations, in this office, and it's better that someone tells you so that you can solve the problem and you can basically have a better life and make other people life better as well. I guess that's how I would put it. Yeah, and then I would tell this person, you smell. That's the problem you have, bro. Yeah, you have interesting questions. If you have any other, I see we have two other people in the chat who haven't asked questions, probably. You can ask me now because it's already 1 hour. So we're gonna end up this live pretty soon. No other questions? Maybe sometimes I had the situation when it was on the post and then I didn't see it. So I'm gonna check the post one last time. No question on the post. Apparently no questions left on the chat. So yeah, we're gonna finish this live Q&A. It was a nice one. Once again, I really enjoy these. Don't hesitate to join the next one. I tend to do one a month in the middle of the month typically. So yeah, the next one will probably around 15th or like February. And yeah, if you are new on the channel, because sometimes I know some people pass, I can see some people connect, and so there are probably some people unsubscribed. Think about subscribing so you are notified about those lives and my other videos. And the shorts and reels, I'm going to start to put a little bit more of me performing exercises. I try to also keep posting exercises that I believe are uh, maybe more like my basics and old school as well. Like yesterday, I recorded pullovers, how I do my pullovers with the barbell. So I will post this one probably this week, like tomorrow, hopefully. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for this live. Another message. I am. That's from King. Thanks for the stream. Well, you're welcome. It's always a pleasure. And thank you for all your questions. It's always very interesting. I really enjoy them. I hope to see you on the next one. And yeah, I hope to see you all on the next one as well, guys. Thank you for coming and see you. Bye.